Now, how would you react if you received a phone call telling you that someone was trying to kill you? Can you imagine? This is the subject of a shocking new true crime podcast that's got everyone talking. It looks at the investigation into a website on the dark web where anyone could pay to have someone murdered. Here to tell us more are the investigators behind the podcast, Carl Miller and Caroline Thornham. Welcome. I mean, this is deep. I was quite shocked when I was reading this. So, Carl, you're a tech journalist and you were doing kind of investigating about the dark web, I think people call it, when this came up. Tell us how that came about and how you discovered this kind of hit list.
Well, there was a hacker called Chris that both me and Caroline knew. And this was about 2020. It's just when COVID's kind of locking down society around us. And then Chris, well, he didn't just find a series of assassination markets on the darknet. He also found this tiny little gap in those markets, which allowed him to kind of wiggle through. And then he found himself on the back end of the market. And
where did he wiggle through for us non-techies? Do you mean, like, broke into a website?
Yeah. I thought wiggle through, I was trying to use a non-technical term. He broke in, and as he found himself there, suddenly he, and therefore me and Caroline, could see the live kill orders that people were using the site to make. Names, addresses, pattern life information, photos, and often page after page of sometimes really scary kind of detail and information.
I mean, Caroline, that is shocking. So when you see that this is dropping into your email, and you said you were in lockdown, actually, when this was happening, did you actually think this can't be real, surely? People aren't actually going onto a website and saying, yeah, I want to have someone killed?
It's a very surreal situation. And, like, we're, journalists, we're not the police, so we weren't at all prepared for what we were encountering. And the thing that became, two things became very clear as we were looking at all of this information and all of these messages. And one is that the website itself was a scam. So all these people were sending messages, requesting a hit order.
Were they sending money at this point?
And they were sending money as well in Bitcoin payments. But because we could see the replies from the website, they were saying, oh, we weren't able to complete the job because of whatever reason. Maybe, the hitman got lost, the victim was too well protected. Really quite absurd, excuses. But then the second thing that was really clear to us was that the customers were deadly serious. And that's the thing that was scary, because sure, the hitmen might not be real, but the person paying money to hurt someone...
Yes. And did you then go straight to the police and tell them, and did they believe it, or...
We did. I mean, the first thing I did was to phone the police. The police, in the middle of lockdown again, came to my house. They immediately actually did a mental health background check on me. Genuinely, they were like, 9 times out of 10, this is a mental health issue. But then after all that, they actually did believe us, yeah. But the problem was that then these orders are spread all over the world, and there were dozens upon dozens upon dozens of them. And the way that they were kind of sharing all these orders around the world, we didn't really have any confidence that the police would actually act on it. The police wouldn't know who we were. They couldn't do their own mental health checks. So the next thing that we did is we ended up actually reaching out to the targets of the kill list ourselves to try and warn them directly that they were in danger.
And did they believe you? I mean, if I got a call from you saying, hello, Ruth, we've just found out you're on this list, I'd be going, yes, bye-bye then. Because I'd go, that's weird.
I had so many people hang up on me, I cannot tell you. Everyone thought that it was a scam call. Everyone thought it was a scam call, so it's a real struggle.
What was really interesting, I thought, is actually they were quite eager to tell you the reasons that they wanted the hit. So these are love triangles, this is a woman on a woman sort of crime because they want to maybe expose an affair, and 78% were men trying to commit this crime against women.
That's right.
And is it mostly their partners they're trying to get rid of?
Yeah, I think in the cases where it's a man placing the order, in 85% of those cases, it's male to female intimate partner violence. So it's really an extreme situation, but it's reflecting something that's obviously a real problem.
Why do you think they were so eager to tell you the nitty-gritty of it? Because it feels like they're, I suppose, putting themselves in the picture. They're implicating themselves.
Well, they weren't really telling us. They thought they were telling the hitmen. So we were very quietly lurking there. They had absolutely no idea that we were intercepting any of these messages. I mean, the first time that any of this would really become apparent to them is when the police showed up at their door, and eventually they did. So after we completely failed to be taken seriously over the phone, we actually send out local reporters, and the investigation begins to change. We begin to work with the FBI, and then 3 years later, we've got now 28 convictions have arisen as a result of the investigation. I think there's over 150 years of jail time.
Yeah. So somebody who did get a conviction was Jennifer. And it was her husband, Ron, I think, wasn't it, who was trying to have her kidnapped, tortured and injected with heroin.
You felt this was you had a responsibility to do something, whereas other people would have maybe given up at first, second, third hurdles, but you have followed this whole thing through. What was your driving force not to give up?
Yeah, I mean, the sheer length of time really is the kind of unspoken part of the story, like years upon years of having to do this. I think I don't know for you, Caroline, for me, what drove us is simply that no one else was stepping in to do this. You know, we spent years trying to convince the police every single time to break into the market. We were, you know, offering to teach them how to do it so they could do all of this, and they didn't.
What happens now, then? What happened? Because obviously you've decided to tell your story. People now know that you do the podcast. So what has happened to this site, this dark web site? Will there be others popping up? Can you do anything?
So because our investigation, you know, amassed so many arrests and convictions over the years, you know, law enforcement started to pay really close attention. And what happened, now we don't know everything for certain, so we're doing a little bit of guessing here, but there was a police raid on a cybercriminal gang in Romania that were running a Hitman for hire site, essentially, and we saw lots of changes on our site happen at that moment that made us really think, OK, this is it. And what we've seen since is that people have started being arrested, but we aren't behind it, so we think the police are monitoring it.
Started. I'm so sorry, I'm going to have to cut you off there because we have got to go, but you have started that process, which is amazing. The Kill List podcast is available now wherever you get your podcast. Carl Miller, Caroline Thorne, thank you very much.